Hello everyone, how's it going? Today we are doing Tailwind tutorial. Tailwind is a CSS framework and the main benefit of using it is that it's utility first, meaning that it comes with utility classes that have this pre-existing CSS code. So you can just take these classes, plug it into your HTML, and you don't have to write CSS code as much anymore. It's also compatible with other frameworks, not only HTML, but React, Vue, Angular, and etc. And it's different from other CSS frameworks because other frameworks like Bootstrap, for example, they are more component based versus Tailwind, instead of giving you straight like out of the box component, it gives you utility classes, so you can it's more like customizable and you can build your own components. And also something that's very important, it supports responsive design, meaning that every single one of these utility classes can be applied conditionally, so you'd respect like certain breakpoints, for example, like the desktop view versus the mobile view. So yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna be doing this beautiful hotel booking UI. So let's get started. I'm going to create a directory. You can name it whatever you want. And we're gonna cd into that directory. Next, we'll initiate npm project because I'm gonna be using npm to install Tailwind packages. And I'll copy this command from their website, which is linked down below. So this command basically installs Tailwind and its other peer dependencies using npm. So there's 3 steps for setting up Tailwind in a project. First step is what we're doing right now, installing the packages. Second step is copying like this, referencing to the Tailwind in our like the base style CSS file. And then third step would be adding a build command to our package.json file, and that build command would compile all the Tailwind code into the CSS so it can run in the browser. So let's go into step 2 right now. And first create our CSS file with the styles file. So it would be inside the source folder. And copy this command. Alright, going into the next step, go into your package.json file and add the build command in the scripts part. We're going to name it build CSS. And it will run the Tailwind package. So it's going to grab the Tailwind packages from our base file, which is styles.css, and we can output it into a different file. And in this case, we'll create a new folder and name the file output.css. And let's create the output file now. I spelled the styles. Alright, it finished building and it's saved to output.css. So if you go to your output file right now, you should see that it's populated with all this like Tailwind CSS. Now let's open the project in browser and start writing some HTML. We can open it by going here, file, and start writing HTML code. Let's do that inside distro folder. This would be our main HTML file, index.html. So I'm just gonna type html.tab. That's a package that Atom uses. I'm gonna link that package if you don't already have it. So it's gonna create like a base HTML. And what we need to do here inside the head, we need to create like a reference to our styles file. So it would be link And it would be the output.css file because that's the compiled CSS code. Alright, and let's set the title to hotel booking. And as you can see from the example here, oops. So here we have kind of like the whole page is divided into two parts. First one is this top bar with the search bar inside it, and then second one would be this container that has cards in it. So we'll start by coding the first bar first and then creating the second div. So let's get into it. Alright, so to see what this is looking like, we're going to open up index.html in the browser and reload our page. So to go over what we did here, SM is for like the breakpoints, SM is for small, MD is for medium, LG is for large. So this condition would only apply to the breakpoint starting from the small to up. This is like the space in between the components. So Y is usually used for horizontal and then X is for vertical. PY is set for the padding, and depending on what number is followed to PY, it determines like how big the padding is. And as you can see, they have also like in their documentation like the sizes of how many pixels is it equivalent to. We're gonna create like a flex component. We center the items, which is also super easy to do. PY indicates padding, PX is padding but on the vertical level, justify centers the elements. Setting margins that are auto is as simple as just using this keyword. And then so this three classes here helped us create this like the gradient background. So what we need for that is first we need the color that it's starting from, so from green 400, then the ending color which is blue, and then BG gradient just tells the Tailwind, oh, like create this gradient color. We set the text to white, we set the length to full, but so the length could be controlled using W and then followed by how big our length we want it to be. So if you wanted this to be just like third of the total fourth, we could just set like this, and you can see it doesn't contain the full width. Alright, let's revert it back. So we create a flex container, and the flex direction would be column. Now let's create the search bar itself. How our sidebar is looking like. We're gonna reload the page. Here it is. So here, as you can see, we added like a little bit of padding, then we used the breakpoint. So on the smaller screen, the width of it is going to be full. On larger screen, as you can see, it only like takes a portion of the screen. So we can check it like going here. The color, background color, we set it to white. We also created flags, centered the items. This is how you set rounded corners like it has here. And it has a shadow with not as much visible on the gradient background, and margin is, we added also like a little bit of margin. Then inside we created this input element. We also made it rounded, the length is full, this is for padding. This is the text color, also the focus. There's also like different states you can set to, once you hover over it changes the color. ID, we set it to search. Oh, I'm missing the type equals text, and then the placeholder is search as well. All right. And then inside the input, we created this class with like a small padding around it. We also set it to color blue, so it's kind of matching like the ending color of this side of the screen. The text is white. I should probably replace it with an actual icon, but I left it just a text for now. It's rounded. Full means that it's rounded on like all sides. It has a little bit of padding, and then on the hover it changes color, so we can state conditions to the classes like this. And on the outline it doesn't have, on the focus it doesn't have any outline, so this is setting like widths and heights. It's also a flex, and the elements inside are also centered. All right, now let's go ahead and start creating like container for this area of this page, and then create classes. So I'm going to go ahead first, create the container. So it should be after
this container.
Alright, so we created the container that's going to hold the cards, and what else we did is that we created the row because we want to have separate rows. So this is the container. As you can see, it has the same width as this like kind of bar, so we can like have this centered and with the same width. It also has padding both on both sides, and the margin is auto, so all the margins will be on this side and it'll be centered. And then inside we created this class so it will keep the rows. So it's flex like direction is row, and it's justified between means that the elements would be space. The space would be allocated in between the elements. So to move on to the card itself, we created with the white background, a little bit of shadow, padding. It's rounded in the corners, as you can see. We set the size on the larger screen to be equal to 64. It has a margin and a little bit of padding. Inside, we have this just like the image class that's gray if image is not there, as you can see in this case, but if the image is linked in the URL, it would just appear. It also has rounded corners. And then we created two texts. One is the bigger one, and then one is the smaller one. First one is bolded and the color is gray, and then second one has this like instead of font, it should be font. And so in here I will paste these images that I downloaded from unsplash.com, but you can use any images you want. And I'll create new assets folder that is going to hold the images. And in here we're going to indicate the path to that image. And we'll also end like a small book button under this text here. Alright, here we reload the page. Oh, I didn't indicate the full name, so it would be its JPEG file. So let's reload it. Alright, and for the button, you can see we created this button with rounded corners. It's flex, it has centered, the text would be centered in it. This is the blue is the color. It has a little bit of padding around it. The text is white and it changes color to this darker blue when we hover over it. So for the rest of the cards, I will just, as you can see, this is like responsive because we in here in the cards we set the widths only for like the larger screen. So on the smaller screen you can see that it occupies the whole width. So for the rest of the cards, I'm just gonna copy this card from here. So it's this one. And if you want to create the second row, you'd just have to create another, this like the flex row class. So I'll paste it 2 more times and save it. All right, let's see. All right, here it is. And of course you can add more cards, update the images, and yeah, play around with it. Alright, this is the end of our tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments or questions if you have, and let me know what else you'd like to see. Thank you, bye!